Okay.
Welcome.
Welcome, one and all.
This is a more... I was just thinking, this is probably... Is this the... Aside from the one we did with the kids, have you uploaded that yet?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Right, so, yeah, will be the first sort of post-lockdown-ish, even though we're kind of still semi in lockdown. But we're both in the same room.
We are. Yeah, this is... It
is really, isn't it?
It's the first official...
Yeah, spodcast post Corona.
Yeah, although it's still
Corona.
About. But yeah.
But we are observing our 2 meters distance.
Yep, we are.
So, right, we'll do a short introduction because I'm trying to think what. Well, Millie, you basically introduce what film we're going to be.
Okay, so
kind of talking
tonight
about.
We're going to be talking about State of Grace, which stars Gary Oldman, Sean Penn, Robin Wright,
Ed Harris,
John Turturro's in it. What's his name? Riley?
C. Riley. Is it Thomas C. Riley or I can't remember now. It'd be in the cast.
Yeah.
We haven't really researched this very well.
No. This early 90s.
I believe it was released in 1990. We were basically talking about. We were discussing earlier before we started this spodcast or commentary. I suppose it is a kind of commentary, although we're not. My memory is kind of. Well, we were talking earlier about our obsession with this film, basically. I'm just going to start it, but I thought we'd get us in the mood with the music, because the music's very evocative.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of forgotten a lot about this film, but as soon as the score, which is by Ennio Morricone, which coincidentally, this is kind of strange, because I bought this film recently, and I'd actually forgotten that Ennio Morricone had done the score, and he died only a couple of days prior to me buying this film.
Really?
Yeah, it was complete coincidence, and I think I've been considering getting it for some time, but I was a little bit apprehensive because, and I think again we were talking about this earlier, like yourself, I was quite obsessed with this film when it first came out on VHS, which would have been the first time I saw it, and primarily for Gary Oldman, because we became big Gary Oldman fans, didn't we, in the early 90s. And then I think I had it on VHS originally, and you said you did.
Yeah, I did.
Didn't you say you practically wore out the copy of it?
I had an ex-rental from Blockbusters that I bought. Yeah, and I practically wore it out because I watched it so many times, and I pretty much knew all the dialogue to it. And at the time, it was a film that wasn't that well known or very well thought of, but
I think it was quite an obscure. I guess it was around the time of it was the real boom of rental stores, wasn't it? Like Blockbuster. I mean, I think I was working in Blockbuster Video. John C. Riley. There you go.
Riley, yeah.
I was working in Blockbusters when this came out, I believe. But it was one of those films that sort of rode the VHS era. Yeah. The popularity of VHS. I think it became kind of like a bit of a VHS cult hit. But like you said, at the time of its cinema release, I don't even know if it got a cinema release in the UK.
No, I don't.
To be honest with you,
it did.
It might have gone straight to video over here.
And we previously, before this, we watched a documentary that is on
the disc
with
from
the director.
Phil Genoux.
Yeah, and he was saying that it was a flop.
Yeah, he was admitting it was a failure.
It's only after. When it went onto video that it became like a sort of a
cult hit, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I think primarily my interest would have been Gary Oldman in this.
Yeah.
And because I guess this was one of his... Was it his first American film?
Well, I think that's what the director
That's what the director did say, wasn't it?
He'd done Sid and Nancy, and that's what he'd seen him in, and he wanted him...
Because he's in a film with Teresa Russell called Track 29, which I've also got on Blu-ray, which I haven't watched. I remember it being quite weird.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was that after this, you think?
I think that
or around, was that 80s?
Might have been before that.
Right.
But that was a
very obscure film.
Yeah, I don't think,
sort of quite art house, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But so like yourself, I was a little bit apprehensive about watching this again because it's one of those occasions where you think, well, maybe the memories were better than in it's kind of rose tinted glasses, and watching a film again that you loved so much back in the day, maybe it doesn't hold up anymore. Maybe you were looking at it with young eyes. Yeah. Because we watched this kind of, I suppose, early 90s. So what would we have been? We would have been in our 20s still, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And some films do date badly.
They do. But we were also saying from watching a little bit of it that like the cinematography and everything, the look of it stands up, doesn't it? It
really does. It really does look contemporary. It is a slick looking film. We were also remarking on how young like Sean Penn looks in this. It's amazing how young everyone looks. Although Oldman doesn't look particularly younger in this.
No.
But we were speculating then it's probably during his sort of the drinking years.
Yeah.
Maybe. So he's a little bit poached and bloated in this, which fits the part, obviously.
Yeah. But there's some really good, well, better than good performances.
Oh yeah, well I watched half of it before. I haven't watched it all yet, but I watched about half of it last week. Not really in preparation for this, but just because I wanted to watch it. But I didn't finish it because I thought, well, maybe we would do a spodcast on it. So I would leave it until you came over to watch the rest of it. And I was just impressed and surprised at how much the dialogue is still really good. Yeah, it's obviously a very well written film, and like the director was saying, Phil Janu in the documentary or the short interview that's on the disc, that when he was making this, there weren't really a lot of gangster movies, because it does fall into the gangster genre of movies, doesn't it? Yeah. But unfortunately, it had quite a long production, and I think by the time it was finished, by the time they finished production, there was a glut of gangster movies. So this kind of got lost in all the.
That's right.
In all the glut that was coming out, like Goodfellas, and what else did he say? King of New York came out.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Godfather,
Miller's Crossing, Godfather 3,
yeah.
So unfortunately, it kind of it got lost in the milieu of all the.
Which is a shame, because it,
it's got its own identity, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Instead of like
Italian gangsters.
Yeah, it's Irish.
Yeah, so it was quite unique in that regards.
Yeah.
But anyone who's thinking of picking up, it is a really good Blu-ray transfer. I would just throw that in there. The picture quality is really good. It probably hasn't looked this good since the cinema release, really. Probably looks better than the cinema release. But so we're going to sort of talk about the film, but we're kind of not going to talk about the film like we normally do in our spods. And the director was saying like about the casting of the film, wasn't he? He was talking about how he got the cast, and he really wanted Gary Oldman because he'd seen him in Sid and Nancy and thought he'd be right for the role.
He was saying about the freedom that the studio gave him, which you don't get normally. That's right. They supported him all along. He
was kind of saying you would cast the role for the right actor, and nowadays it's more about the actor's reputation and the name in their box office.
Box office,
yeah. They look at that more these days. which is obviously a bit of a shame. So like, yeah, casting. If someone was to make this film today, it would look completely different, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't probably have the risks that this film took, because I mean, at the time, Oldman was a relative unknown, wasn't he? Really, he'd only really done UK stuff in the UK, but the studio backed him 100%. And how trying to get Harris in this, because he'd just come off The Abyss and was basically shagged out, wasn't he, really, from doing that, and wasn't really up for doing another. Wanted a break, really, but he managed to get him in the end and persuade him. So you know, you watched this religiously. What do you think? What was the appeal, do you think, for watching it?
Well, I would say predominantly the appeal for me was Gary Oldman, because at the time I was, I guess you could say, slightly obsessed with him as an actor. I don't think at the time there were many other actors around that were like him.
I suppose, you know, because like you think back, I mean, we did a drama course, didn't we, at college, and you know, it's not like perhaps America where there's lots of role models, isn't there? Like for if you're like a wannabe actor or a fledgling actor, you know, you've got the Hollywood system out there, so there's a lot more sort of pool of actors you can be inspired by. You know, you've got obviously like the classics, like, you know, the Brandos and the Pacinos and the De Niro's, yeah. So it's a bit, you know, it's a bit of a different system over here, isn't it? And you know, all our sort of famous actors, they're more from the theatre sort of.
That's right.
You know, you'd have the, you know, like the Hopkins and the Richard Burtons and the, you know, Laurence Olivier's, that kind. And I suppose with him, he was more a working class.
That's right. Yeah, that's
made
why
good.
I was sort of drawn towards him, because, like, you know,
he wasn't part of an acting dynasty, you know.
He seemed more real.
Yeah.
At the time.
And I think it was our drama teacher, wasn't it? Paddy Goymore, who was our sadly deceased. Rest in peace, Paddy. We will find out where you are resting. But who was also Irish. Ironically, as this is about Irish gangsters. But I think he introduces to Gary Oldman, didn't he? Because I'm
Meantime.
Meantime, and I don't think I was.
I wasn't aware of him.
No,
Had Sid and Nancy been out of that?
I'd probably seen it on telly, like, but I think I wasn't really conscious of. I wasn't really taking an interest in who was in films at that point. It was like, oh, that was just a movie. I'm pretty sure that was on like Movie Drone, like, because Alex Cox used to. Alex Cox, the director of Sid and Nancy, used to do a like a program on, I believe it was BBC Two, wasn't it? Where he'd screen cult movies, obscure stuff, and I'm pretty sure he screened.
Well, he directed that.
Well, he did direct it, and I'm pretty sure he screened it. Like, this is my film, Sid and Nancy.
I didn't actually like Sid and Nancy.
Oh, I did like it. It's
maybe I should watch.
I think you should watch it again. It's you know, it's uneven. It's rough and ready. But you know, not everyone. The acting's variable. Yeah. But I like the way it goes off on a bit of a surreal tangent towards the end. You know, it's for anyone who's not seen Sid and Nancy, it's basically about Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. But again, I remember the dialogue being really good. I've got that as well. Did I watch it recently? I think I did watch it not that long ago. And the dialogue is what stands out in Sid and Nancy. But then it does take a little bit of a fantastical,
I remember
surreal.
the sequence where he does I Did It My Way.
Yeah. Which was a video. He did actually do that. He did do that video. But it's like a surreal, slightly Terry Gilliam twist in it, where he's. I mean, in the video, he did a really bad. Basically, people who don't know, Sid Vicious went solo, which was a bad idea, wasn't it? Yeah. And he did a cover of Frank Sinatra's My Way in his own sort of unique style, wasn't it? He wasn't really a singer, was he? Well, he wasn't really a bass player. No, he wasn't really a musician, really. But he looked the part. He looked the punk part, didn't he? And in the video, he basically takes a gun and shoots all the audience.
That's it, yeah.
Doesn't he? He's like shooting. But in the movie, you know, they're really dead.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like a bit of fantastical artistic license there. He's shooting his gun off and kills all the people in the audience, which never happened. But I think he is waving a gun about in the video, which you can probably find on YouTube. I'm sure I've watched it on YouTube.
Oh, right.
The real video, because they were trying to carve out a solo career for him, weren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably saw that on TV probably, and again, Gary Oldman didn't really register. He was just an actor playing a part. I was probably more interested in directors at that stage, really, when I was sort of growing up. I'd probably follow a director rather than an actor. But when Paddy said to us, you know, you want to look at this, it was a film, wasn't it?
We watched it as a class.
We watched Meantime, didn't we?
Yeah, as a class.
We watched Meantime, which is a Mike Leigh film for people who don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's like a kitchen sink drama, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, very funny script, but with a lot of pathos and a sort of dark undertone.
Also starring Tim Roth.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, before he
made it, really.
Yeah.
And I think Paddy was trying to present to us, like, you know, sort of, I guess, they weren't quite contemporary because Meantime was early 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So probably that's about a decade after we went to college, wasn't it? I think I remember seeing Meantime on TV, and again, you know, Tim Roth and Gary Oldman weren't really names to me then, but I'm sure I'd seen Meantime on the telly because it wasn't Channel 4, was it ITV? I think it was it was a TV movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't released cinematically over here or theatrically. I think it might have got a like an American cinema, you know, like an indie cinema release. But I think over here, I think ITV bankrolled it.
Yeah.
So it would have been on television first.
I remember that made such an impact on me that I asked Paddy if he could do me a copy. And I think I've still got that.
Really?
I think I've still got the...
Man, that'd be awesome. He copied it from college for you.
And must have had quite a big impact on me at the time. And I remember watching that sort of quite. Well,
I think watching like working class people, and you were thinking like, hold on, you know, wow, they're kind of not that different. Their background's not that different from us. You know, they weren't born into some big theatrical or cinematic
it just seemed
family.
More real.
The subject matter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't a period costume drama.
Well, yeah, in the early 90s there was a lot of period dramas, weren't there? And, you know...
like Brideshead Revisited or whatever.
You couldn't relate to that. Whereas, like, something like Meantime...
working class
could relate
people.
Unemployment, council...
Skinheads.
Yeah.
We all knew a skinhead, didn't we, back in those days?
Could relate a bit more to that, and it just seemed more real. And and
maybe the idea of, you know, getting into acting seemed a bit more realistic or plausible. Seeing someone who had kind of made it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously delusional on our part, but
yeah,
at the time it seemed plausible.
Yeah.
And like you say, they were. I mean, I'm sure you agree. Like someone like Gary Oldman was pretty inspirational.
Yes.
Like, shit, man, he's bloody good. I guess he was, for me, he's like, as a British person growing up, working class person, he was my Brando.
Yeah.
As much as Brando was, you know, like an American cinema goer's idol. Oldman was kind of mine.
His ability to transform into a different character. Like in this film, his American accent for a start.
Yeah.
I was like really, I remember being really fascinated with being able to do a different accent and stuff, and for people to actually believe that he is so believable.
Oh yeah, he totally embodies the characters, doesn't he? There's no point where you question that he's not who he's playing.
No.
definitely.
And I'm sure that a lot of American people actually thought he was.
Well,
American.
I've actually read, like, people have. I don't even know if I was looking on YouTube or something. Like, I was watching clips of this before we did this podcast, and people saying, obviously people who didn't know his career that well, thinking he was American.
Yeah.
And because they were saying they didn't realise. There's interviews actually, I think, with him. I can't remember what film what set he's on. He's talking. Oh, I know what it was. It was True Romance.
Right.
Because obviously he plays Drexel, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And there's like a making of documentary, and that the Gary Oldman bit was on YouTube, and there was lots of people saying like, "Oh, I always thought he was American."
Right.
But it's quite funny listening to the interview because he's kind of slipping in and out of it.
Yeah.
So he's kind of Drexel for a bit. He's kind of dying like that, and then he sort of talks a bit like that. He gets the London sort of bit comes out, and it's kind of all over the shop.
Yeah.
It's quite funny watching that. So he's kind of obviously half in character and half out of character.
Well, it's quite funny when you hear him now speak. He's got that very
he's got a bit of a posh sort of twang now, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's got that slight mid-Atlantic.
Oh yeah, the mid-Atlantic twang. Because I presume he's lived in America
for quite
a long time now.
I don't know, 30 years or.
Yeah, I guess he's based over there now, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's John C. Reilly we were talking about earlier. His hair's about the same as it was. Early role for him.
Yeah, and obviously he's gone on to have a substantial career himself, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But in this, it's sort of
a little bit part, isn't it? Really.
But
what was your? Because obviously, Sean Penn was properly established by this film, wasn't he? Really? I mean, he was a Brat Packer, wasn't it? Well, I don't know if was he part. I don't know if he was in the Brat Pack, but he was around that Charlie Sheen.
He was sort of labelled as
Cruise and
Bad Boys.
The Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Didn't he do a film called Bad Boys? I'm sure he's in a film. Not like no. What's the film where he's in a prison?
I don't know.
I thought that was called Bad Boys, but obviously not the Will Smith Bad Boys. But what was your view on him, like
on Sean Penn
coming into this, or did you have any preconceptions? Or
well, I think I probably had my.
What's even your take on him today?
Sean Penn.
Yeah.
I think he's a
clever guy, isn't he?
He's an interesting actor. There's a lot to him, isn't there?
There's a lot more to him than the roles that he started out playing would lead you to believe, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I mean, especially now he's kind of become a director as well.
Yes.
I mean, his directed stuff is probably more nuanced than his acting roles, really. I mean,
I think the role that
changed your view of him
was in Carlito's Way.
Yes.
Which did he win an Oscar for that, or
he
was
might
he nominated?
He was definitely. I'm sure he was nominated. If he didn't win, for his hair, best hair, best syrup in a movie.
That's where I sort of sat up and thought, blimey, he's
actually he's not just a sort of pretty boy.
No,
he's actually a capable actor.
Yeah.
That was. I would say it's probably the same point that and then he did Dead Man Walking, which is an amazing performance. Yeah. Then in the right role he can, and also I think probably, although he was kind of perhaps playing to type a little bit, Casualties of War.
Yes.
I think that was
that's a really good film.
That's an underrated movie, actually. That's a film more people should really see. And a lot of time,
Michael J. Fox.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's missed off a lot of De Palma.
Brian De Palma. Yeah.
I think it's one of his. Again, a bit like this sort of got lost in the gangster movies that came out. That sort of got forgotten because there was a lot of Vietnam movies, wasn't it? That kind of the tail. If I remember, the sort of tail end of all.
Yes.
The Vietnam movies. So you'd already had Platoon.
Yeah.
And
God, there was so many.
There was loads, wasn't there? Hamburger Hill, I think, was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Full Metal Jacket, obviously. And I think once you'd seen, well, obviously Apocalypse Now prior to that, but I think once you'd seen Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, Hamburger Hill, Platoon, you kind of had enough of Vietnam films, hadn't you, basically? And then they sort of, then you had Casualties of War afterwards. So I think there was Vietnam movie fatigue, perhaps, and that's why that kind of got slightly forgotten about. And but that's a really good film. It does, you know, it's quite melodramatic, and there's a lot of melodrama in that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth. It does warrant a viewing if you haven't seen it, because it's different enough from. It's not really about the combat, is it? It's more about how the war affected the troops.
Yeah, made them do the
inhumane things
that they did.
Yeah, and Penn's playing a nasty character in that, isn't he? But it's a good. There's a good two-hander between him and Michael J. Fox in a sort of rare. You know, I think he wanted to shrug off his clean-cut Back to the Future kind of persona, didn't he? So he did a little spate of edgier films. Shame he didn't really do more of those, really.
No, it is, really. Yeah.
But, that's worth taking a look at if you haven't seen it. Yeah,
that I'd forgotten all about that film, to be honest with you.
It's another one of those, where it's kind of... I think I had it on DVD. I might have even had that on VHS, but well, this is the scene when they set light to the yuppie condo. We were talking earlier, I'm sure a lot of this is ad-libbed quite a bit of this.
Yeah, there's real chemistry between Gary Oldman and Sean Penn in this film, I think.
I can quite imagine they went out on the lash together quite often.
Yeah. That's really good scene where they're running through the flames.
Yeah, it's a very slickly directed movie, this. And, you know, we were just chatting about this earlier, like Phil Janu, who came from the sort of pop video industry. You can see, can't you?
You can see that.
You know, the same as his contemporaries like David Fincher, who, you know, there is a kind of similarity in the slickness of it all. Not quite so sort of sterile or methodical as Fincher's stuff, which is almost like, you know, sort of almost precision filmmaking and stuff. Especially nowadays. I mean, you know, I'm not sure what Phil Janu really did after this. I can't say I really followed his career.
I heard him say that.
Did he say Final Analysis?
Yeah.
What?
I can't remember. I remember the title of it.
I remember the title, but I can't. Was that a? That sounds like a medical thing or a courtroom, doesn't it? Drama. Yeah. Final Analysis.
No, I don't remember. I have to look that up, but yeah, well, he said himself, didn't he?
Well, yeah,
this is seen as his best
work.
Film.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I remember anything else he's done particularly. This is the film that stands out anyway.
Yeah,
you know, in his list of film, in his filmography, because it is almost a perfect film. I think like the story is just. It works, you know. All the characters work. It's a simple story, isn't it? You know, predominantly, it's quite, you know, it's a bit of a sort of, it's a bit cliched, really. The plot, isn't it? You know, undercover cop who, you know, who was friends with the criminals when he was younger, but he's become a policeman and
tried to get
away from all that. Yeah, and then he gets a job, sort of infiltrating them, because he knows the neighbourhood, effectively, isn't it?
Comes back and realises that he's, you know, getting drawn back into it, and there's probably not much difference still between him and them.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, the whole betrayal, he's got to betray them.
Yeah, they're his old friends.
Yeah, he's sort of racked with, you know, he's conflicted, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
And of course, we were also talking about Robin Wright, who actually, I mean, for my sins, before watching this again, I forgot she was in it. That sounds really awful, doesn't it? But I literally hadn't watched it. I know, like you, I watched it religiously a lot. But then I sort of put it aside, and I hadn't watched it for, Christ, probably 15 or odd more years. And then, I was trying to remember who was in it. And I remember Ed Harris being in it. Obviously, I remember Sean Penn and Gary Oldman, but I actually forgot who the sort of, inverted commas, love interest was. And of course, as soon as she appeared, I was like, oh, God, yeah. How could I forget that? I was mad about her in this.
Yeah.
Because she looks really young as well.
Yeah. She's gorgeous in this.
She's still got a bit of that sort of puppy fat around her cheeks, so she looks very young
and obviously we were talking earlier about like
vivacious.
Sean Penn and Robin Wright. They ended up.
Well, you can tell in scenes like this,
having a relationship.
The sort of flirty. There's the flirty scenes where they're like, it's very
when they look at each
real.
other,
there are sparks, aren't there?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing really that makes this film is the chemistry in it. Yeah. Because so many films you watch where you can tell the actor or the actress don't really get on. Yeah. And obviously they're perhaps given the role of boyfriend and girlfriend or in a relationship, but quite often it doesn't seem like they really like each other, which you kind of need in a film about two people who are in a relationship together. Well, initially at least. They might hate each other later on. Yeah, I mean, we're watching this with the volume down and just watching them. Well, it's quite interesting, isn't it, with the body language and stuff. You can tell. She's doing a lot of her hair as well. Yeah. And it's quite funny. This is like anecdotal stuff here, but this just reminds me. I was watching. Where was I the other day? I was walking along the street, and basically, I think it was in Mason. I can't remember where it was now. That's irrelevant. But anyway, this guy. No, it was in. Obviously, this will be meaningless to anyone who's listened to this, unless they live there. But I was driving through Tenterden, and I was stopped at some traffic lights, and a girl who obviously worked like I imagine I'm just totally speculating here. She worked in like a jeweller's or like estate agent or something, because she had like a suit on. She was well dressed, nice hair, and this guy came round from, and he must have known her because they both sort of like looked at each other, and he was like, "Oh, all right." I think he was just about to spark up a cigarette. He looked a bit sheepish at her, and he was like, "All right." And she did the thing with the hair where she got hold of her hair. Right. It was almost like an involuntary thing. And she sort of like, she looked a bit taken back, and she was blushing a little bit. But I can't tell she was doing that. But, she had like a little cheeky, wry smile on her face, and she just flipped her hair. And I was watching all this play out, like the sort of drama of it all. And it's just like what Robin Wright was doing there. She's playing with her hair and sort of twiddling it around and in a flirtatious manner, but that's just a little bit of an anecdotal human nature thing there. But the director was saying also the location is, I think, a good thing about this film, which does also lend it authenticity, is it doesn't look like it's not studio based, or is it? It's not stage. It doesn't look like stages or like they're on a stage. It is real locations. It's grimy and gritty. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That also lends the film a real sense of authenticity, doesn't it? Yeah. Which again, I think a lot of modern films lack. They do. Yeah. They tend to be a bit sterile and yeah. And makes it slightly hard. But it's probably like cost effective these days, isn't it? Because like it's so unpredictable, isn't it? Like filming on location. There's so many things that can go wrong, and they got to pay loads of money to like stop the streets, stop the traffic and stuff. So that's probably why films that do rely on a lot these days, or more on studio filming, recording. I'm trying to remember this. I think this is about where I got up to on my viewing. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, this is when they rough up the guy they're trying to sell the booze, aren't they? Oh yeah. Yeah, this was the scene. They want to sell him some cheap booze, and he don't want to end up fighting amongst themselves and having a little brawl, don't they? Yeah.
I mean, basically they're like a bunch of
punks.
Well, they're compared to the Italian,
they're not very disciplined, are they?
No, no. They're a bunch of hoodlums, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're very unpredictable.
Based on a real gang, though, apparently, that were operating in Hell's Kitchen back in the day.
Ed Harris, another, brilliant actor.
Yeah, he's another guy who probably doesn't get as much. Yeah, I was going to say doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah,
but has been in some really, really good films, and he's always very dependable, isn't he?
What was that film we were talking about? He's in with what's that? Bardem.
Oh God, not. Do you mean the one we watched recently, Mother?
Yes, we were talking about how weird that is.
That is a weird film.
And he's in that.
Did you watch all that?
No, I don't think I did in the end. But
I went to the cinema to see that.
His character in that is very... I remember him being very good in that. Because it's just very weird.
He's Michelle Pfeiffer's isn't he? Is he like... Well, you don't quite know what
they just arrive at their house.
They just turn up, don't they?
Sort of...
They invite themselves in pretty much, don't they? It's a very... Well, obviously...
Hasn't their car broken down?
Yeah, I think that's the pretense of them coming over. But he knows him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Bardem kind of knows him.
Yeah.
And invites him in, and they end up staying there. But it's a very odd film. It's apparently... I mean, it's quite pretentious, really. It ends up being...
That's why I didn't watch
Yeah. It's supposedly a metaphor. I mean, you do get little elements... It's sort of little breadcrumbs are thrown into the film as you watch it. It's supposedly... Because I read up on it, I was like, okay, I need to read up on to explain this film to me. What was it about? And I think someone said, or maybe it was the director. Was it Paul Thomas Anderson? Is it him?
I don't know.
I think it is the Boogie Nights director. But he explains it as like their house is Earth,
right? And
all these other is like it's like a massive metaphor. And she's the mother, who's what's her name? I can't think of her name. Come on, help me out, Millie. Who was in
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, thank you.
Lawrence.
She's gone a bit quiet, hasn't she?
I don't.
It was in the Hunger Games movies. I think she came to prominence.
I don't really rate her.
But she's quite good at that. I mean, I tried to watch a film with her where it's set on a spaceship with Chris Pratt. And I found it unwatchable. And for the life of me, I can't think of what the name of that film as well. But basically, they're in like cryogenic freeze, and Chris Pratt gets thawed out because they're on a sort of journey to recolonize a planet. I think colonate is a word, is it?
No.
Colgate. They're going to colonise a planet, and because Earth is like devastated, so it's going to take like hundreds of years to get to this planet, which can sustain life. So they're all put in cryogenic freeze, and then for some reason, I can't remember what. There's some computer error wakes him up, so he's on his own for like a year. And in the end, he's like going stir crazy, and he's like suicidal. He can't deal with the loneliness, so he decides to thaw someone else out as a companion. And it just so happens it's Jennifer Lawrence.
Right.
But her voice, the pitch of her voice, is just great. And Chris Pratt isn't much better, and they've got zero chemistry as well.
Yeah.
There's no chemistry between them two at all. And I gave up on that as well, actually, because I just thought this is going absolutely nowhere, and it just ticked all the cliched sci-fi boxes. But in Mother, I thought she was really good. But by all accounts, the director, I think, they were in a relationship at the time.
Right.
He really sort of traumatised her to get that performance out, a bit like Kubrick did with Shelley Duvall in The Shining. So that's probably why her performance is quite fraught and
maybe that's why
convincing. Maybe that's why, she's not done any more acting for a while. Maybe she need a break after that. But why did we bring up that? What was that in? Ed Harris.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's individual quite good performances in that, and I think probably he is the standout in that movie, really, Ed Harris. But yeah, very underrated.
Yeah.
I don't reckon that too much acting, did it?
No,
there's
it
the love scene now. Maybe that was when he thought, oh, I quite like her.
Yeah. What else has Robin Wright done?
Well, more recently, she was in that the Kevin Spacey thing where she played his wife on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What was that called? I watched that. Oh God. House of Cards. Cards? Yeah, House of Cards. Yeah, of course.
Oh, right.
Yeah. House of Cards.
And then didn't she, like, when it all... Oh, sorry.
Nipples.
There's a slight bit of
we all went a bit like... well, I guess, yeah, I mean...
He's right on the...
He's right on the nipple there, isn't he? So, yeah, that's quite intimate.
Yeah.
I guess there had to be trust between them to do that scene. But, yeah, what House of Cards. Yeah. Yeah, she was in that. And she played Spacey's
and then didn't
wife.
When he got outed, they were still making that, weren't they?
Yeah, they had to be.
She take over?
Yeah, she took over, and that's. I must admit that series I didn't watch, and they did say it went downhill.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I'm not blaming her for it, but it was just circumstances, wasn't it? I guess there had to be a hasty rewrite of scripts and stuff. I think they just kill him off. Right. I think literally because at the end of which I did watch the series prior to that. I think he was running for president again.
Right.
And then basically, I've not seen the series after that, but I'm guessing they must have assassinated him.
Did he become president then?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm sure he did. I mean, I did watch it, Christ, I can't remember that. But I'm sure he did. I'm sure, yeah, he was, because he was in the White House.
Right.
Yeah, he was in the White House. But, again, the power went to his head, and, they were quite like a Shakespearean in the couple, their sort of dynamic. Yeah. And then there's a bit, towards the end, you get the idea that, because he becomes quite weak. I think there's a bit of a Ronald Reagan subplot where someone tries to assassinate him and he does get shot and he's quite ill.
After that,
Well, she sort of transcends. She has to step up.
She's like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, yes. Well, yeah, exactly. That's the sort of analogue that's going on. Yeah. So she gets a bit of a taste for glory, and then she kind of almost usurps him.
Yeah.
He's done lots of gangster films, hasn't he? That guy.
Yeah.
Isn't he was he in Carlito's Way, or
possibly? Yeah.
Or maybe Miller's Crossing, anything with a...
He's got a great character actor.
He's got a great face, hasn't he? Sort of pop-marked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have played plenty of Italians in gangster movies.
Oh, this is the bit.
Oh, yeah. Making a mess.
Making a mess. The Italian gangsters sort of almost treat the Irish
with contempt.
Well, almost like they're children.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at them. They're a joke. Which they are, really. They're all a bit.
Well, they're not very
useless.
They're not very sort of disciplined, are they?
No.
Or like the Italians have been doing the gangster thing for hundreds of years, haven't they?
Yeah.
Was it Cosa Nostra or whatever it is?
Yeah.
They sort of know the score, don't they? And they've come to America, and all these Irish who sort of they're a bit like you say, hooligans.
Yeah. They're just like street fighters, aren't
they?
Yeah.
Oh, this is where old John C. Reilly gets the old. He's caused a bit of trouble with the Italians, so they have to
get rid of him. Yeah, and the Italians have told Frankie to get rid of him.
Yeah. Basically. So he's a lackey for the Italians, isn't he?
Yeah,
really?
Pretty much.
So yeah, this film does sort of fall into the cliches, doesn't it? But it's like you said, I think the setting and the director was saying, like Phil Jannou was saying, because it's like looking at the Irish gangsters. It has its own identity.
Yeah, it's a different slant.
Yeah.
Which was quite unique.
Yeah.
Really.
It is really, isn't it? And I suppose, like, I'm no expert on gangster movies, but I guess Scorsese explored it a bit with Gangs of New York, didn't he? Because they were Irish, weren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to that and and after, well, I don't remember many other Irish gangster movies.
No, I can't. Ed Harris's hair there, though, like with
Wispy.
the lighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not got a lot up top, has he?
At least he hasn't gone for the Bobby Charlton.
No.
He could have gone for the comb over, couldn't he?
Oh, now we've got a bit more of
a bit more
Robin.
Yeah.
Not acting.
No, what do you reckon? Do you think that was just like they went to the hotel and Phil Janu just set a camera up?
Yeah. It's all sort of kicking off now, isn't it? Loads of people.
Yeah, lots of bodies.
Dying.
Concrete boots.
Nice shot of his slit throat there. I love this bit with Gary Oldman.
I can't remember this. What happens in it? Is he quite angst-ridden? Well, he looks quite angst-ridden.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't he want a bit of payback?
Yeah.
Because obviously he's blaming the Italians for it, isn't he?
Yeah.
But really, it's his own brother who's had a hand in killing him. Nice bit of denim jacket. Look at that denim.
Yeah, double denim.
Yeah, double denim. Wow. We'll be able to pull that off today. I like his leather jacket as well.
Yeah. Well, I did buy a leather jacket. It's very similar to that.
Have you still got that?
No. It's this
good.
bit in a minute that I like. I think Robin Wright says something like, every time you turn around, someone's getting killed.
Yeah.
And I think it's just coming up, I think. And
I should have put the subtitles on. I didn't.
That's all right.
Oh yeah. He's still. Yeah.
Yeah. Look.
Oh yeah. Turn around.
Yeah.
I'm turning around. Nobody's dead. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. He's angry. What was his character in Leon, the cop? What was his? Do you remember what the cop's name was?
Stansfield.
Stansfield. That's it.
Stan. Yeah. I mean,
he does play a good, crazy person, doesn't he,
brilliant performance as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, that makes that film, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
I know it's Jean Reno and Natalie Portman's film, really, but every time he's on screen, even though he's got a relatively small role, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's electric, every scene that he's in.
The bit where he's going on about Mozart.
Oh, yeah.
I love Mozart. He was Austrian.
He's Austrian, though. Then he say, I love these calm moments before the storm, isn't he?
And he's conducting.
Oh, yeah.
He's listening to it, isn't he?
That's it, yeah.
He's going into the room and then he's got his gun.
That's it.
He shoots.
That's it.
While listening to...
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit! There's some class lines in that. But he sort of delivers them with such gusto.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that film for a long time.
I haven't, actually. That's another film that probably warrants a...
Yeah.
Obviously, sort of...
slightly uncomfortable, probably, to watch now because of Natalie Portman being very young.
And the climate that we live in.
And the relationship between her and...
and Jean Reno.
Yeah.
Which is even more, well, Leon, he is Leon, isn't he? Which is even more fleshed out in the director's cut. There's more, there's, it's more explicit.
It's almost like a Lolita type thing, isn't it? Like I don't know how old.
Although she's younger than that, isn't she?
How old was she when that?
She must have been 12 or something, wasn't she?
Really?
When was that? 19? She can't have been much. I don't. Was she a teenager?
I don't know.
I can't remember. She's pretty tiny anyway, isn't she? But she looks really young in it.
The pictures of her, it's very sexual.
Well, now you
know.
Now you hear about Luc Besson and that he's sort of been accused, hasn't he? Of inappropriate behaviour.
Right.
Yeah, he's gone a bit quiet now.
Right.
It does kind of put a different spin on it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what allegation. Obviously, the whole Me Too thing came about, and he was on the shit list as well.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember what actress and what film it was. But I know, there's been accusations levelled at him. Obviously, we're a bit careful what you say, but inappropriate or
it just always felt a little
discriminatory.
Bit
leery.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what he was like. That was kind of his stock in trade, wasn't it, really? Leon, I suppose, was quite restrained in that regards, but then Fifth Element, which spent a lot of time looking at Mila Jovovich's body, didn't it?
Yeah.
There was a lot of sort of, and the sort of outfits she had to wear.
Did he have a relationship with
her? I think he did.
And Betty Blue?
He did that, didn't he? That's Luc Besson, isn't it? And La Femme Nikita. And then he did, there's a film with Scarlett Johansson. Oh, what was that called? Where she's got like a super brain. She's injected with this serum that makes her super intelligent. It's a bit like the film, I don't know if you ever saw the film Limitless, but that had De Niro in it. It's a very similar premise. She's like some sort of, I think she's just like a waitress or something. I'm trying to remember. I did see it. It's not a great film. And she gets this, it's either an injection or it's something that makes her super intelligent, basically. Right. And a bit like the Matrix, she can do lots of karate and stuff, it makes her super agile and almost superhuman. And then he basically remade that recently in this film called, I think it's called Anna, where it's practically the same plot.
Oh, right.
But again, it's like he's cast some like attractive supermodel. He likes his pretty ladies, basically. And
he's quite shallow, isn't he?
Yeah. No, definitely.
Not heavy on...
It's all about aesthetics, I think, with this stuff in it. He did a really bad film that I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's on Netflix, I believe it was. Oh God, it's something in 1,000 Planets. It's like a sci-fi big epic. Valerian, I think it's called Valerian, and that's got that. It's got a British supermodel in it who, can't think of her name, but she's not. Well, I think she's done stuff where she's been considered quite a good actress, but she's not very good in this. It's a very wooden performance.
Right.
But it was by all accounts, it was the. Yeah, I think it's called Valerian of 1,000 Worlds or Planets or something. It was based on a French comic book, and it's by all accounts the most expensive French film ever made. It costs like 200 million or something. It's a big, massive, sprawling sci-fi extravaganza, but it just doesn't work. But it's all CGI and it's basically, again, we're talking about chemistry in this. There's no chemistry between the lead actress and actor, and it's just, it's junk really. But it's just eye candy. But there's no real story of merit to carry it. No. I gave up on that. I think I got into about an hour of that and I thought it's very much like The Fifth Element, but kind of without the wit that, again, that's debatable. I think that's a film that's probably aged badly. Yeah. I think if we were to watch that today, because we went to see that, didn't we, at the cinema? Yeah. And I remember quite enjoying it, but I think that's probably aged really badly if we watch it
Yeah, I can
nowadays.
imagine it has. Yeah.
And that was a very shallow film, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. He rode a wave, didn't he, for a little while, I think.
Yeah.
Besant, you know.
Well, films in the 90s, if you go back, a lot of them, like the Michael Bay stuff, the Armageddons, and they were very shallow, weren't they? A lot of them. It was all about the visuals and the effects. And, they just got more effects heavy and more ridiculous during the 90s.
Directors like that have sort of stood still, I guess. Maybe, they're still stuck back in the 90s. They haven't
really evolved.
No.
And I'm loath to say that audiences are more sophisticated these days. I'm not sure they are, but I think just maybe that kind of film is it's lost its popularity a bit.
Yeah.
Because how much bigger can you go? And every film's trying to top the one previous. I mean, you still get the big, you get the big blockbuster movies today. You get your Jurassic Parks and stuff still, don't you? You get your Marvel movies, but it's hard to top you can't keep topping what you've done before. No. It just becomes ridiculous.
And you do need a story.
Yeah.
Good characters.
Well, they were talking about like Netflix is just they're producing some film and it's going to be the most expensive Netflix movie. That's something like 200 million.
Really?
And Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, not the DJ, are headlining, and they've basically really busted their old wallet open to get these guys. But again, it comes, like you just said then, it comes down to but you can throw as much money as you want at a film, but if it hasn't got a good story, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, here we go. I'm imagine I don't know how much this cost, but I'm assuming a really low budget movie, but you've got really good actors in it and a really good script.
Yeah,
you don't need bloody CGI explosions and all the rest of it, because what you're truly invested in is the characters.
Well, you've got to on a human level.
Yeah, on a human level,
connect with.
I get bored of all those CG fests. I mean, like the Transformers movies. I just, out of curiosity, I went to see one because I was loath to criticise something that I hadn't seen. So I went out. It wouldn't have been a film I would have chosen to see, but out of being balanced and impartial, I went to see one. And it literally is. My description of it was just like it's someone throwing cutlery at a wall. It's just noise and shiny stuff.
Yeah.
But I just found it tedious. It was just boring. And then you're just they're just all the dialogue is there is just to link the action scenes, really.
Yeah.
And it's just perfunctory stuff. It's like, we need to link this action scene with another action scene, so we'll have a bit of dialogue, and then there's a bit of exposition where someone explains what's going on, because it hasn't really got a story.
No.
So you have to get some scientist character who's explaining everything. And so
by numbers, isn't it?
It is, it really is. And I just find it really boring. And, it's one of those films where I could have quite easily, on principle, I never walk out of a film, even if I hate it. But that I could have quite easily walked out on. And when it was over, I was really glad it was over. And they're insanely long as well.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a 90-minute action fest. It's like these are like 2 hours plus. So you got to sit there and endure this.
It's too long for that sort of film.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Far too self-indulgent.
Yeah. I mean, how many explosions and things can you see in 2 hours? I don't know.
Well, it probably was about 2 hours worth of explosions and half an hour's worth of dialogue and dramatic scenes. So how fresh is your memory of this,
it's pretty fresh, actually. Yeah.
Is it coming back to you?
Yeah. Yeah, this is another good scene where they're in the church. Like Jackie, Gary Oldman's character's, he's in there. He's in a bad way.
Oh, he's a bit drunk. He's been on the sort. Oh yeah, there's all his bottles.
Yeah.
Gary probably brought him to the set with him, didn't he? Probably from the night before.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gone there. Bad continuity.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, they're there. Oh, they're out of shot. Oh, I apologise.
Quite a few there. He's been there a while, hasn't he?
He has, hasn't he? You're allowed to take alcohol into the church. probably are there, aren't you? In Hell's Kitchen. Now, spoilers. So, if anyone who hasn't watched this before, don't listen to this next bit. I'm trying to remember, how does Gary Oldman die in this? Because Ed Harris has to kill him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Does he shoot him? Or does he not? Oh, does he not? Oh, he knives him, doesn't he?
No.
Do you remember? Oh, we've got like a little beastie.
No, he shoots him. He does shoot him. Yeah.
Is it a headshot?
No.
Is it a gut shot?
Yeah.
I'm trying to, because I can't remember. I'm a bit hazy. I mean, I remember
don't you remember how he falls? He falls really well.
Right. Okay. So no, I don't remember that. I think from now on, all I really remember is the Sam Peckinpah-esque shootout at the end between Sean Penn and Ed Harris.
Look, he's
fucked, isn't he?
Yeah, this is good.
Good drunk acting or not acting.
Well, he's like really cut up about John C. Reilly's death.
Yeah.
And he can't deal with it, and he's he's just
lost it
doing what he does.
Is he gonna
say a prayer for?
Oh, he's gonna wet the baby Jesus,
whatever his name was. I can't remember the character's name.
They're all Jackie or Terry or Freddie or Billy or.
But the reason he gets that he has to die is because after this scene he goes into a bar, doesn't he? And there's the Italians in there.
That's it. He shoots. Yes. Yeah.
And that's when the Italians say,
he's overstepped the mark.
Enough now.
Yeah, you got to get rid of him.
Got to get rid of him.
He's a liability. Of course he does.
Yeah.
Is that a scene that's a bit like the Godfather scene where, is it Pacino who shoots that? Do you remember the cops in the?
Oh yeah.
That's the Godfather, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that part one or part two? I always get those two mixed up.
Really
they kind of merge into one.
Yeah.
Two's with De Niro. De Niro isn't in the first one, is he? Or is it? No, is De Niro in the first one and Pacino's playing him as a younger person in the second one?
It's the other way around.
Is it the other way around?
Yeah.
So Pacino's in the first one. De Niro's playing. Playing
in the second one.
De Niro's isn't Don Corleone?
He's a young
Marlon Brando, isn't he? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. He's playing the Marlon Brando character as a young person.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, Pacino's in the first one, isn't he? Doesn't he kill that? Or is he a senator or do you know the scene I mean, don't you?
No.
Where he walks into a bar and he shoots him, and the guy's like doing that with his neck.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
yeah, I remember.
I think he shoots him in the neck and then he shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
That scene in this always reminds me of that. I don't know if Phil Jannou took a leaf out of Scorsese's. Coppola's. Sorry,
I was never
Coppola's.
a massive fan of the Godfather films.
They're long.
Yeah.
But I think I would have watched them on TV, and I can't say I watched them religiously.
No.
But I do remember liking them.
Right.
I remember them being quite. The violence was impressively staged.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of the choreography of the violence is very well done. But yeah, they are long. He can't keep her hands off her now. Look.
He can't, can he? Well, I don't.
You can't blame him. But do you think he was like, Phil? I really think I need another love scene. Yeah, we haven't had enough rutting. I've not had enough nipple sucking in this film. I need more. Now she's payback. She's licking his belly button.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope he hasn't got any fluff in it.
Yeah, you can see, can't you, with them?
Yes. Because how long were they married for?
I don't know. Quite a while. Did they have children? Has he got any children?
I'm sure he has.
There's scratches on his...
Oh, yeah, yeah. Did he have children with Madonna?
No.
No, so it must have been with her then. Yeah, I think they have got children together. That's probably more like how it ended up.
Yeah.
We're having a bit of a scrap now.
They're either...
Because he's...
Not fucking...
Yeah, it's fight or fuck. Not fight or flight, it's fight or fuck. Yeah, because he's conflicted, isn't he? Does he tell her now what he's...
Yeah, I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, that he's undercover.
I'm a cop, yeah.
I'm a cop, yeah. So I guess he is kind of the catalyst, isn't he? Like, it's all...
Yeah.
He kind of has created this...
Well, yeah, if he hadn't
turned up, yeah, this wouldn't have gone on, would it?
No.
Or maybe somewhere later on down the line, but he is kind of, the catalyst of it all.
And he's dragged her into it.
Yeah.
You know,
she kind of escaped him in a way, hadn't she?
Yeah.
And he's come back into her life, and it's the same old bullshit.
It's just like it's a tragic...
He's a bit Shakespearean, isn't it? Obviously with guns.
You know that they're all gonna die, basically.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that makes it so compelling, isn't it? That, that, like you said, the human aspect of it.
Yeah.
You kind of don't want any of them to really... I mean, who is the villain, really, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, obviously they're kind of criminals, so... They're not really to be emulated or admired, but they are kind of charismatic. It's the same reason why you like, Al Pacino in Carlito's Way, isn't it, or Scarface? There's a certain kind of charisma about them, isn't there? And De Niro in Goodfellas, obviously. And
that's right. Oh, this is Burgess Meredith.
Ah, yes. How can we forget him?
Who, from the original Batman.
That's it.
Who was he? Was
he Penguin? He was Penguin, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he played the Penguin.
Obviously, he's been in... Well, he was in Rocky, wasn't he? Was he the trainer in Rocky?
That was Burgess Meredith, wasn't it? Rocky!
Yeah.
Go on, Rocky!
Just... old curmudgeon.
Yeah, that was Burgess Meredith. Yeah. Of course it was. Yeah. Of course he was in Rocky. I don't know how... This wasn't his last role, was it? I don't think. Because he did some Rocky films, didn't he? I don't know, when was the last Rocky film before Stallone rebooted it?
I don't know.
Would that have been 80s? Didn't go into the 90s, did it, Rocky? There's 5 of them, though, wasn't there?
He's pretty old in this.
He's pretty old in this, isn't he? Yeah.
I'm just an old man eating stewed tomatoes out of a tin.
That's it. They've come to rough him up a bit, haven't they, to get some
money,
protection money out of him.
And then he recognises who he is as well. And
oh, didn't he? I knew your father.
Yeah. What are you doing hanging around with those Flannerys? Is it Flannery?
I think they are Flannerys, yeah.
I think he's like, they're snakes in the dark of the night. Something like that. He says, you want to stay away from them.
Yeah, he did assemble a really good cast, didn't he, in this?
Because this is a very small... This scene, quite, you could say, like, inconsequential.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that, almost unnecessary.
But I think it plays a part that, you know, for Sean Penn's character, he's like he's like his conscience sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing hanging around with these?
Sort of makes him reevaluate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of reevaluating it anyway, isn't he? But that's what Burgess Meredith's character is sort of there for, isn't he? Really. Mm.
He's got the shakes, hasn't he?
Do you think that's the real shakes, or is that actor shakes?
I think it looks like
a bit Parkinson's-esque.
Oh, and I think he also tells him that it was Frankie that killed John C. Reilly. That's another thing.
What he tells Burgess Meredith?
No, Burgess Meredith tells Sean Penn that it was Frankie that killed.
Oh, how's he know then? On the street, I guess. Yeah. Word's got around.
Yeah.
Oh, so I suppose it is important information to relay.
So it's all like collapsing around.
Yeah, it's all unravelling, in it. You can't even trust the family.
Yeah. So now he knows that, you know, Frankie killed Jackie's best mate.
Yeah.
So he's got like
another.
He's carrying loads of shit around with him.
Yeah.
You know, that he can't tell anyone.
Which obviously a lot of these, you know, in real life, isn't it? Undercover police, they do. That's a tough job, isn't it? Because you're basically lying to people, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, he's been. Yeah. That's Jackie's.
Frankie's
henchman.
Yeah. He's following him.
He's asked to check him out.
I
can't remember. Is he going to meet John Turturro? I can't remember now.
Oh, he's gone to the bar where Riley was taken out of, and he's
trying to get some info.
He's saying who took him out, you know.
Yeah.
Into the alley.
He wants confirmation that yeah.
And his henchman is now telling him that he's gone to that bar, and
yeah. So I'm really hazy about this part of the movie. Don't we see that guy get shot in a minute because we were watching the documentary or the interview with Phil Genoud? Doesn't that I think that guy comes in after
and shoots him. Yeah.
Cleaning up the evidence or whatever.
It's all building up now, isn't it?
Yeah, so. I do remember. Yeah, it's quite tense. All this. There's the. What's the sort of the thing with the clock? You know, the click. There's a sort of. Is there a hit going on or a?
Oh, that's the bit where they're in they're in that warehouse.
Yeah.
You know,
is that to kill the? Is that the Italians they're gonna?
Yeah.
Because I think Ed Harris's character, he's feeling the heat now, isn't he? Like
he's getting pressure.
Yeah, from everyone
the
really.
Italians. And now he's worrying about Sean Penn's character and Jackie.
Who can you trust?
You know. Might have to go to the toilet in a Naked Gun type of way with my mic on. No, I can't, can I?
You're going to pause it?
Is that all right?
Yeah. Better than wetting yourself.
Sorry.
But, Naked Gun.
Nature calls.
I remember that.
Okay, I'm back now.
Just resuming.
That's better.
You've watered your horses.
I have.
I was just thinking, like today. Well, not today. I was thinking, like now, while you were urinating. So this film is literally 30 years old.
Really?
Isn't that shocking?
Oh.
You know, obviously we're 2020. This film was released in 1990, as far as I know. So yeah.
We were still in our 20s when this was made. God. Geez.
How old would we have been? Right, so 30 years ago, yeah, we were 29. Yeah. Well, it depends on what part of the year this was released. But yeah, 29, my God.
Well, it doesn't look like a 30-year-old film.
It doesn't.
I know we've
said that before, but no, it really doesn't. It actually looks better than a lot of films shot today, really. It's a credit to that. Well, the director of photography, who obviously Phil Janu was really enthusing about, who did a lot of classic movies, including Blade Runner.
Sorry, this is the scene where Robin Wright goes to confront Sean Penn, and this is the scene I was telling you about when she comes in. It sort of made the hairs.
Oh, okay, yeah, you were telling about this earlier.
Just her acting. You know, I think was brilliant in this scene, and also very
sexy.
Yeah,
you can say it, Mil. You're allowed to. No one's listening, or are they? It's just between you and me. If Robin hears it, don't be worried. He's not going to stalk you. But yeah, I mean, I think there's no real weak, like you're saying about her performance. There's no real weak roles in this, is there? Really, there's no weak acting.
Because in most films, you do get that, don't you?
Yeah,
it's like,
someone lets the side down a bit. I mean, she's a great actress. She's done a lot of really good stuff. I mean, I know you haven't watched House of Games. Cards. I always call it that. House of Games is that Mammoth thing, isn't it? Yeah. I always get those two fucking confused. House of Cards, yeah. She's really good in that. She's very commanding. I would recommend it from the, Spacey's a bit, obviously we, have to reassess him as an actor. But
But
at the time of watching it, I mean, I thought he was great in it. It's obviously it was a long time before the scandal and stuff broke. It's a strange climate we live in, isn't it? Really, where
Well, we're living in a cancel culture.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're calling it.
That's what they're calling it.
There's loads of people who are just getting outed as either racists or
sexual predators or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not condoning any of that, but like it's all seemingly done by public opinion.
Yeah,
like the trial, the
trial by media. Sort of thing. It's tough, isn't it? Because I mean, there's a whole question about should you judge an artist, shouldn't you just judge an artist on their art rather than,
And can you still, like with Spacey, can you still watch a Kevin Spacey film and think he is a good, or
are you even allowed to
enjoy?
Are you allowed to enjoy it? And are you even allowed to sort of? You hit the nail on the head. Really, are you allowed to assess his work?
I think
at all?
we're hesitating, to say that he's still good, even though we thought he was.
Yeah, I mean,
then.
you think like you go back to LA Confidential or American Beauty, and you know they were sort of amazing performances.
Yeah.
And films.
Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects. Yeah.
Seven.
Sure, it's. I mean, but you know, I think like we've said in the past, like if you looking, you can't say every actors, but a lot of actors, past. If you knew half of what they got up to, you might not think they were particularly nice people.
Yeah. Should you judge them on the performance or the person they are?
Yeah. It's any celebrity, isn't it? It's not just there's the thing we're talking about music.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Can you I mean, his reputation seems to have survived in his.
Well, he's apparently made more money since he's been dead than he did when he was alive.
Yeah,
so
people seem to have
forgiven him.
Yeah,
you got Woody Allen. You've got Polanski.
Yeah. Yeah, these people are like, blacklisted, but
they're still working, aren't they?
Yeah.
What makes them different than like a Spacey, who you might fight?
Is Woody Allen still?
Yeah, he's still directing.
Yeah.
Did a film not long ago. It's not meant to be very good, but
because a lot of people were saying that they wouldn't work with him.
Yeah. Well, I think Scarlett Johansson worked with him.
Right.
She said that she wasn't gonna judge him on the allegations.
Right. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the old.
Yeah.
Coppola-esque.
Yeah.
Assassination. Squibtastic.
Yeah.
It's a bit tomato ketchup.
It
there,
is a
isn't
bit, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit tomato ketchup-y.
Thick.
Yeah.
Blood.
But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, like, what if God forbid, but what it's one of your like, what if it came out that Gary Oldman wasn't a very nice guy?
Well, I think he did have he had a thing a couple of years back where he made some comments about
was it Churchill?
Jews.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Was that like an award ceremony or just off the cuff?
No, I don't know exactly what the context was that he said it, but it did cause him a lot of problems for a little while.
Right.
And he went a bit quiet.
Right.
And I think he was forgiven for it.
Yeah.
So that was before Churchill and all that.
Yeah.
And I think it looked
that does ring a bell, actually.
It looked
you
a little bit dodgy
now.
for him for a little while.
It probably some of it comes down to probably how sort of well known they are, isn't it? And how much in the public eye they are.
Yeah.
Because obviously when Mel Gibson had his run-in, he was such a public figure, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the tabloids just really picked up on it and ran with it, didn't they? I mean, there wasn't a sort
I guess it also depends on, like, I mean, if there's such a public figure like that, they probably have a reputation with the media, don't they? That he's a troublemaker, or like maybe